The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
I apologize for not putting you on this last text that I sent.
Oh, don't worry about it.
To Bob and Ash and BB. But man, I'm not super fired up about it. Can I kind of tell you what's going on?
Kick it off, boy.
I think it would be tough. Wouldn't it be kind of a bad way to start and say, I got this thing that I'm inviting you guys to, but I can't talk about it.
No, you better talk about it, boy.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I have to start by saying on Facebook, and then everyone just tunes out when I say that, which they should. But so some friends of mine are doing a drag show at the Stateroom this Saturday. So shameless plug, go to the drag show if you're 21 and older.
Yeah.
So what I was talking about was I said, this drag show that's going to be happening on Saturday at Stateroom, if anybody's listening, if you are 18 and older, 21 and older, I don't know, like if you're an adult and you want to go to a drag show, go to a drag show.
Your prerogative.
That's fine. We're a free country. I'm a libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
We're all we all have a libertarian feel, without putting labels on David,
We're all there with you.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I think they made a critical mistake. So I will say my friends, who some of them just defriended me today because I spoke out on a post on Facebook and said, hey, listen, I don't agree with the premise of inviting children to a drag show. So the drag show is doors open at 7. The drag show starts at 8. The dance party portion starts at 11 p.m. And it's an all ages drag show. And I'd like to just kind of say that my kids' bedtime is around 8:30.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, even if I wanted to bring them, I'm not real sure if I'm gonna try to put them to bed at midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning to do that, whatever, But I thought when I saw this, I don't know what you guys think, and I'll ask you if you think that kids should go to drag shows. In all fairness, I will say that the people putting on the drag show are saying this is a family-friendly event, meaning they're going out of their way to make it family-friendly.
Sure.
And I think some of them understand that this is Quincy, and you can't do the San Fran thing. You can't drop trowel in front of like young kids, which happens in San Fran, which happens in Chicago, in some of these gay pride pride parades where you got like men strapped down on floats, and there's another man beating them senseless, and everyone's cheering. It's like you can't really do that in Quincy.
Yeah.
So I think that people putting on the drag show, they understand that, and I'm not trying to attack their character. I'm saying that I think this is out of bounds to try to as soon as somebody says drag show family friendly, I reject that premise.
Yeah.
So that
may be their belief, that they believe it's family friendly.
Right.
But let me make that choice for myself as to whether or not I think my children, all of which are grown adults, and so mine isn't. I'm not in the same boat that you're in, but they may believe it's family friendly, and that's great. That's fantastic. But I'm not sure that I could. I've never met your friends, and so that also would be a factor in my decision making. That you know them better than I do, but I don't know that I could just go, well, if they say it's family friendly, then heck yeah, I'm going to bring my 10-year-old, my 8-year-old, and my 12-year-old because they said it was family friendly.
Yeah, they said, bring your cats, bring your dogs, bring your kids, bring your mailman,
bring your mama.
Bring everybody, bring your mama. Okay. So they also said, break out the piggy banks and give money to us. And I'm trying to think, I'm like family friendly. Okay, so instead of like my 6-year-old inserting cash into somebody's
G-string.
Instead of that, so family friendly would be my 6-year-old taking his allowance out of his piggy bank. So forget college. We're going to take dollar bills. And how is my 6-year-old going to transfer the money to the dude in the wig and the makeup? Like, how are we doing this? So
I think it boils down to it's choice. I think in my mind, when I first saw it, I kind of had a little cringy moment, but then I struggled with it for a second, and I was like, in my mind, I talk to my kids all the time about acceptance and diversity, and people make choices, and we make our own choices, and we have freedoms, and I think that depending on what their goal is for having this family friendly, maybe it's awareness, maybe it's acceptance, maybe it's just trying to gather, a following. I don't know. Maybe it's to raise money. I don't know. What I know is that as a parent, I probably will not be taking my kids, and that is my choice.
Absolutely.
I will also say I have attended a drag show or two in my day and had an amazing time. I will say that I do consider it adult entertainment. And that's just based on the shows that I've seen. There's, kind of promiscuous dancing. The music is different than I would probably want my kids to be exposed to. But that being said,
and your children are the ages of
13 and 8. That being said, I take my kids to Blues in the Park. I take them on rides with my Jeep doors off and the top off. And I'm sure some people don't agree with every choice that I make with my kids. I'm not saying everybody should send their kids there and everybody should be accepting. What I'm saying is if they want to put on this drag show and people want to attend, I'm not going to say I disagree with it. They can do what they want. I'm saying I probably won't be in attendance unless my kids aren't with me. Then I may go. That's kind of where I am.
Do any of you care to weigh in, or do you want to hear my opinion about why they really want kids to be there?
Yeah.
They really, really, really
this.
want the kids. So it's just an opinion. I think that generally speaking, I remember the gay marriage debate about whether or not 2 gay men or 2 gay women should be allowed.
Years ago.
Yeah, like a decade ago?
Yeah.
At least a decade, if not longer.
It's always been, even honestly, all of this whole thing with the, I'm going to be careful what labels I use because I really don't want to use the wrong label to discredit myself.
Sure.
Yeah, like the movement towards that really began in the 60s and the 70s, I think, and into the 80s. And then there's a respite maybe in the 90s. And then, so now we're coming full. I guess what I'm saying is, so I used to live right there, and the cab was right there, and I see all kinds of interesting things when the sun went down, and there were drag shows there all the time. And I have personally seen drag shows in Chicago, where I used to live. I used to live in Boys Town, on the corner of Broadway and Berry.
Very cool area.
The Chicago Pride Parade went across my front lawn. And so I definitely kind of know what's going on there, but I've never, in the past, I don't remember anybody asking children to go to the drag show before today.
Yeah.
That was not something that I heard of. Mm-hmm. I understood that even back then, it was kind of like years ago, it was kind of taboo to go to a drag show. It's like, oh, I'm a straight guy, but you know what? This is where I want to be because, there's lots of...
I had to drag some of my boyfriends because they were like, I don't want people thinking I'm gay or something. It was like, come on.
A really confident cisgendered male is like, oh, and if you're single, it's like, oh, it's cute girls at these things. So, you want to open yourself up to possibilities. But I've never heard or seen anything other than the news where they're really like aggressively saying, listen, you got to bring your kids to this. Yeah. Bring the kids.
So what is your take on why they're encouraging that?
I think they want to break down the barrier between adult and child. I think they want to soften very slowly, and they're so good at it. Yeah. They're so methodical because they've got so much time. Yeah. And I think that...
now, who's they? Are you talking about the trans society? Or are you talking about government? Are you talking about the movement in general? I guess just to clear it up.
Anybody that, definitely the government. If you take a look at the White House, you've got 2 American flags flanking the Progress Forward rainbow flag. Yeah. It's hanging there right now. You've got the President of the United States saying this, like Pride Month, which truthfully I think is used to be like a gay, lesbian, bisexual awareness month, like be respectful of that. But now you see that was back when it was like LGB. Yeah. When you add the T, the T in LGBT is really hurting the LGB portion. Yeah. So I've got friends in Quincy who are part of LGB, and they're saying things like, "Ooh, you know what? Like the T portion is hurting. We are regressing. The gay part of it is regressing." What I think that there is a globalist. This is not like a coincidence. It's not a conspiracies.
Yeah.
Okay. If I would tell you that, like, in the future, you are going to get jabbed and forced to get jabbed with needles, and we have a pandemic, and we have to wear masks, and like everything's going to shut down. That's crazy talk. That's like right-wing conspiracy. Well, all that happened.
Yeah.
And now, instead of saying it's a conspiracy, I do think that the government, the globalists, the elite liberals, neoliberals, progs, progressives, statists, LGBTQ plus, all the way across the board, I think they actively want to soften the relationships between adults and children and like remove the barrier.
Do you think it has anything to do? I'm sorry. Do you think it has anything to do? So I think you're probably not wrong, because I have heard, as a conspiracy theorist myself, I have heard some, tell of that. On the other hand, I've also heard, and this is in my mind what kind of where I go with the trans movement. It's not about equality. It's almost about blurring the lines between, so basically trying to eliminate the nuclear family. And when you're trying to lessen a population, the first step is to eliminate a nuclear family, which is male woman, because that's how you reproduce, right? So we're encouraging other relations, other, I guess, groups to kind of get rid of the nuclear family. And I don't know why, but I do kind of think that. And if you ever listen to other podcasts, one of my favorite podcasters, he says he thinks that the end goal is to make us all just kind of beige. We're all just the same. And I don't know if there's any truth to that. I just think that there probably is bigger stuff behind this that we don't know. I mean, it's not just, men with boobs on the White House lawn. There are things that are definitely distracting. But I guess the question would be, what's the end result and what's it distracting us from? And maybe we should kind of dig into some of that. Now, one more question, and maybe you can weigh in on this too. Do you think your initial reaction to, like your initial cringe reaction, and maybe some of mine, and you can tell me what you think, is because we are a very strong Catholic community? You don't think that religion has anything to do with kind of our initial misgivings, maybe?
I don't know if religion is the part of it.
Don't think so?
But that's just me.
Sure. You don't think so either, Frankie?
Excuse me.
Well, so are you talking about organized religion where people file into churches? So
beliefs.
I believe that everybody has a religion.
Yeah.
I think atheism is a religion.
Sure.
I think
I
think the alphabet mafia of LGBTQ plus is its own religion. Here are the acceptable beliefs. Here are the unacceptable beliefs. You will fall in line.
Yeah.
This is what we say. I believe that this movement, this whole thing is its own religion. I don't think that I call myself a so-called Christian, a so-called Catholic. I mean, I baptize my children in the Catholic Church, but I'm not looking at this from a religious standpoint.
Do you think it has an impact on your...
Of course it has an impact, but it's just because organized religion, most organized religions, if like the top three of Islam, Judaism, Christianity, those top three, if we just kind of scrape the surface there, believe more in a natural order.
Yeah.
So anything that goes counter to the natural order is in the face of organized religion. But what I'm saying is just like as if I'm a normal cisgendered man.
Normal, Frankie.
Normal?
I'm kidding.
Well, I don't even know what that means, right?
I know, right?
Like,
Yeah.
Like, what does normal
doesn't
mean?
exist anymore. Yeah, we're in the
it's all
upside
relative,
down.
but
Yeah.
I don't think when people say I don't know why they're doing this. Yeah. Why are they doing this? I think nobody wants to say out loud why they're doing it.
I think you're right.
And I can't even say why I think they're doing this.
But do you
because
think
it will fully discredit
you as a human being?
If I tell you what I think it is, I can't say it.
It's because it makes you against it when you're not really against it. I think so in my opinion, they're trying to normalize, trying to garner a little bit of acceptance. They're trying to in Quincy, I think, like this
acceptance of what?
The trans society. It's kind of normalizing. You don't have to be the person you were born to be. And you can be comfortable in your own skin. You can wear a dress. You can do this. We want to tell you that it's okay to be trans. Now, if people want to take their kids and expose them to that and, bring about awareness and acceptance and blah, 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 I'm not saying that's bad. But you got to be prepared to answer a lot of questions for these kiddos, right? Because there's just, it brings about more questions unless you are in that community. So unless you're in that community and you're trying to, and you have a...
Is taking my 8-year-old to an R-rated movie, is that wrong? Is it...
An 8-year-old?
An 8-year-old to an
Yeah.
R-rated movie. Why?
Well, I mean, I guess it's wrong for me to take my 8-year-old because I don't want her to...
And I think that's the
it.
difference.
Yeah.
Is
I don't really care what you do with your kids.
There are...
That's wrong. I do care.
8-year-olds,
But
there are 8-year-olds who could handle that. And there are 15-year-olds who can't.
Listen, everybody, you know what?
That's a parenting decision for you, is all that is.
But handling it, you can whip a slave almost to death. He can handle it. He's fine. He'll have scars.
Yeah.
He can handle it. It's not going to kill him because you're almost to death. It is amazing what a human can handle.
yeah.
It's and
Resiliency, yeah.
when you say they can handle it. Listen, my kids can handle anything. I went to a Transformers movie last week. It's rated PG-13. I took my 8, 6, and 3-year-old to a Transformers movie, the latest one that just came out. I'm gonna tell you, there's a new not a new Transformer, but there's a Transformer called Mirage. Do you know who Mirage is? Mirage is a 911 Porsche. Okay, a beautiful car, blue car, unbelievable. In the movie, we're all sitting there, and the main character is inside Mirage driving the car, and Mirage, of course, is the Transformer, so he is driving the car like crazy, escaping the bad guys. At the end of the car chase, the main character has to go home to get something from his Brooklyn apartment that his mother and his younger brother live in. And the main character tells Mirage, be really quiet. Like, I got to go in there and get something. So Mirage is out there like doing his thing. And Mirage is an awesome Transformer character.
Yeah.
The little boy, his little brother, sees Mirage, freaks out, and says, what's going on? What's happening? The main character goes, just relax. It's okay. Go back to bed. The little boy goes, who is that? The main character goes, oh, just a work friend. Mirage says, work friend? Work friend? You were inside of me.
Oh.
Transformers, buddy. What I'm saying is this. I gasped. My wife looked at me. Every adult kind of like, you could feel the murmur went right over the kid's head.
Yeah.
But here's the point. I can't even take my kids to a Transformers movie without, by the way, the level of sexual innuendo in the new Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, I
it's
mean-
all about sex, which, by the way, the segue of this is Pride Month used to be about stopping the oppression of gay.
Yeah.
It used to be stop it. Stop the idea of like oppressing a bisexual. What's a bisexual? It's when you put your hand on the front of somebody's pants and you're happy with whatever you find. The level of oppression has relatively equalized. But now we're at a point now where it's gone so far, it's jumped the shark.
Yeah.
It's just like Fonzie in Happy Days when you coined the term jump the shark. And now we're at a point now. So you just don't know. It is such an open-ended situation.
Yeah. Oh, in my mind, everything's upside down. Everything, and I'm not saying the trans community. I'm not talking about LGBTQ. I'm not talking about any of that. In my mind, that is, you be you. I'm not going to let my kids probably go to a drag show. I'm not going to encourage them to change who they are. On the contrary, I'm going to help them to accept who they are in a way that's my job as a parent. Now, a trans person who has a child, they probably want to encourage their children to accept, right? I mean, I think it's just...
It is a parental decision.
The drag
you're
show.
You're not wrong, and you're not
Yeah,
wrong.
and the drag
it's
show-
whatever you're comfortable doing for your children at their stage in life.
Yeah.
That's just...
And I think
I don't think that I can, if the guys who are running this show say, hey, we think this is family friendly, that's awesome. I think it's great that you're opening yourself up to that. But don't be upset if Ashley says,
Can't come.
I'm sorry, my kids aren't ready for that yet.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you can't do it. It's just, I don't want my kids to be exposed to that yet. Eventually,
Right.
that day is going to happen, but that day just isn't ready.
I'm not ready
you.
to answer all the questions yet. And I think there is a connection between what's happening nationally, globally, and what's happening in Quincy. I just try to think that, maybe the drag show here is for a different purpose than blurring the lines between adults and children. I'm hopeful of that anyway. If it does come down to blurring the lines between children and adults, consenting adults, I'll be outraged. And
Well, guess what? You won't have to wait too long because see the way that things work in the world is it's the boiling pot of the frog. The boiling frog syndrome.
Yeah,
You've heard that.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like during the gay debate a long time ago when we're talking about whether or not two people of the same sex should be able to get married.
Mm-hmm.
There were some right-wing rednecks who were saying, no, you just want little boys to go into little girls' restrooms. And the response from the LGBT community was like, you're a bigot. That's not what we want. It turns out that those pricks, the old countrymen, the old redneck white men, were absolutely correct. And I said a long time ago, I said, I really hope you're not right about that.
Yeah.
It's Pride Month is slowly evolving into Sexual Agenda Month.
Yeah.
It's a sexual agenda.
Yeah.
It's an agenda. And it's so strong that the President of the United States will stand at a podium. This is where America is. It's about having like the flag. The American flag isn't in the center anymore.
Yeah.
The progress flag's in the center.
Yeah.
Bow down, kneel to the Sexual Agenda Month.
Yeah.
And am I using harsh words? I feel like
No,
I feel like I am.
No, I think if I were a trans person, I mean, which I can't even, of course I have no experience with, but I think that there are words used to describe everything. I don't think you've used anything out of line. I think it's just a discussion. I think.
I'm just looking at Frankie. He's going.
No, I think here's what I'll say, and I'm not trying to segue out of this, but on our.
I was thinking, how do you segue?
So on our coffee talk the other day,
yeah, you can.
I said, there's so much going on nationally. And I guess the reason I said I'm sure there is a connection between the drag show and what's happening nationally between blurring the lines. I like to focus on just what's happening here for now because everything else is so big that it blurs my mind and boggles everything that's going on, and I don't know where to focus. So I'm choosing to focus locally because locally we have our own shit shows, and it's not the drag show today. I mean, today we have bigger fish to fry, and I'm hoping you can answer some questions for me. Okay. So on Coffee Talk.
This was her, not bad.
See, I'm trying.
Good.
Okay, so on our Coffee Talk, we brought up a press release that was released by the Quincy Police Department, and it is a program/initiative to release SVPs into Adams County from DOCs. And SVPs are sexually violent persons who have been slated to be released from the DOC.
Yes, that would be true.
Is this an Illinois situation?
Yes, it is. One thing that I've learned in this process, and I did not realize this, is that people who have been deemed sexually violent persons have committed sexually violent acts and may have some mental health issues that make it difficult for them to
recommunitize. I just made that up, but
yeah. But I mean, I know, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what this program does is Rushville has a facility with about 600 people who have been deemed sexually violent persons. Most of them are there for life. They don't necessarily. They've fulfilled their criminal obligations in the Department of Corrections.
As far as a sentence? Okay.
But they've still been deemed sexually violent people, and it's like we can't let them go back into.
Is it like a halfway house?
No, and that was a question that somebody asked me about. So long story short is they're constantly being evaluated. And at some point, some of these people are determined low risk. And the Department of Human Services contracts with a company called Liberty Healthcare. It's based out of Pennsylvania, but they have an office in Springfield. And they will say that Jim Smith, who was deemed a sexually violent person, and that was done many years ago, which is why they're in the facility in Rushville, we believe he's a pretty low-risk offender. And we would like, we've got overcrowding here. We need to somehow get these people, we'd like to try to get these people back into the community. Well, it's not like they're handing them a sack of lunch and, hanging it over their shoulder on a stick and saying, good luck, Jim. Liberty Healthcare then works with them. I want to say it's on about each healthcare specialist has about a 3 to 5 to 1 ratio of people he works with.
Okay.
And these people go from the facility in Rushville, and the one in Rushville is the main one. I believe there are other facilities throughout the state, but Rushville is the main place for these sexually violent people to go. And they are put into, they help them get housing. So it's not like the Department of Human Services buys the house at the corner of 12th and Oak, and everybody goes, oh, that's the house where they put all the sexually violent people. No, they help you find your place, but for the most part, for the first several months, you're barely allowed to leave. You are not allowed to go to the grocery store without someone from the Department of Human Services or from Liberty Healthcare to be with you. You're not allowed to be on the internet. You're not allowed to open the door to someone who
outside of like law enforcement or something.
Yeah. I mean, their limit. I spoke with a detective, James Brown, with the Quincy Police Department, and what he said was they have like a 10-page list of you can't do this, and he says it's pretty impressive. They're very limited on what they're able to do.
Do you happen to know if
So many
all
questions.
of the marijuana offenders in Illinois that have held X amounts of cannabis in their possession when they were arrested,
The
do you
Safety
happen
Act.
to know if they have all been released yet?
I don't know that.
Does anybody know?
My hunch I don't know for a fact, but my hunch would say no because they didn't have enough people to kind of, go to bat for them. So they're just kind of sitting there.
Well, I mean, no one. But you know what? There's
See what
a
I'm
lot
saying?
of-
The upside down, man.
So,
That's
so
where
check
we're
this
living.
out. How well we're following suit here. You know what? There's a lot of people going to bat for sexual
I know.
violent people.
We can't even get somebody to go to bat for homeless
That's what I'm
veterans in
saying.
town.
It's like, by the way, I just want to go full circle here. I do not think that any of the people who really want children to be present for sexual deviancy,
Yeah.
I do not believe that they are a low risk sexually violent person.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
I don't think they are. Could they evolve into that role? I'm sure they could. But I don't. I just want to make it clear. I do
Yeah.
not think they are like that. Besides that, these people, like, weed is legal in Illinois now.
Yeah.
These people who are in prison for like having God's flower,
Yeah.
that are growing in their backyard,
Yeah.
really got garbage bags of it,
Yeah.
just saying, hey, who wants this?
Yeah.
And you shove them in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you stay there.
Yeah.
And have all of your rights violated.
And your pal, the SVP, he's going out.
The
He's
guy
getting
who
out.
goes out and
Yeah.
hurts people
Yeah.
sexually,
Yeah.
we're going to put him in
Tell
halfway
you,
houses.
upside down.
It's not a
So-
halfway house.
No, it's like
I know.
Right.
But
It's
it's,
not a
like-
halfway house.
I want to make sure that's
It's in
clear.
between DOC and community, so it's.
But
No,
this is where our priorities lie
I know.
in Illinois.
Well,
see, that's
I
my-
want to say a little bit of. So somebody asked, why Quincy? Quincy's never had this before.
Yeah, I got a list of questions here. I'm hoping we
the
can roll
fir-
through.
and I know the first person who has been there is one person from the program, I believe from Rushville, who was deemed a sexually violent person,
Mm-hmm.
has been released in Adams County. And Detective Brown said, we just want to let people know that this program is happening.
Don't we
But
have a
again-
housing shortage?
Well,
There we go. Okay, number one.
Okay, no, but you sort of sound. What you sort of sound like, and I knew these questions were coming.
Now, I got some better ones. That just popped in my head.
Do you remember the movie Escape from New York with Kurt Russell?
Yeah. Escape from L.A.
No. Well, that was the sequel.
Oh, okay.
Escape from New York was the original.
Okay.
One. Okay. And Kurt Russell was Snake Plissken.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And basically, it was like
Snake some kind of a-hole. Is that what you're getting?
Well,
at?
no. New York was essentially determined to be like a prison that we're throwing you into the city of New York if you have committed crimes. And you
Are you saying that Quincy's like a prison? I'm
just saying that what you're saying is you committed this crime. You got. Sorry,
no.
Don't come around here.
No.
We can't give you any chance of rehabilitation at all.
No. Here's what I'm asking, and let me just roll through these real quick. Okay, so number one, who made the decision? And you don't have to answer these questions as we go, but
the question that was what I asked: how did this happen? Basically,
how did we get chosen to be the host family for SVPs?
And there are different types of people and services that have to be made available for these people when they are released from the Rushville facility. Quincy didn't have these services. They now do. It wasn't, and according to Detective Brown, it wasn't like Quincy went out and said, "Ooh, we want to get all these people to come here, so let's offer these services." They've just evolved.
We tried to help our own community by offering these services, and now they're like, you know what? You did such a good job, which I don't know that we have yet. So that's another question. We're going to give you all the rest of these people. So
So I'm curious. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah,
How many people do you think will be coming here through this program?
I don't know. That's another question I have.
Okay.
So how many DOCs are participating?
This is a statewide issue.
There are 6 DOCs in the state of Illinois.
Okay. And
but the fact is, these people aren't coming from the DOC. They're coming from a specific facility in Rushville that has 600 people for sexually violent persons.
Okay.
That's the main.
So do you know how many people are coming?
Jim Brown told me that he thought it would be somewhere around maybe 4 a year.
Okay.
So it's not like there's going to be all of a sudden a surge of people.
So Quincy is, it reminds me of when the governor of Texas rounds up the immigrants, throws them in the bus, and drops them out front of Kamala Harris's house.
Yeah.
Many of these people have been taken to Chicago and Springfield and Peoria and Rockford, and Quincy now just has the services available to address these people. The one thing that Brown did also say is, if someone was ever this may not assuage your feelings.
Probably not.
However, if you were declared a sexually violent person from Quincy, you would not be re-released to Quincy. You would be sent somewhere else.
Obviously.
Right.
And the same thing with
you know what?
Chicago,
Hey,
Ash, or whatever.
Ash, we have not sexually defined SVP. We need to.
Okay, so that was kind of my definition.
And I wish I had my laptop here to be able to read it to you.
Well,
in essence,
I don't, because I haven't done the research on it, because this is new information for me.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is what's going to happen is if I don't ask this question, I'm going to go to my kid's t-ball game. It's going to be the only thing I'm thinking about during the t-ball game is this.
Mm-hmm. But when I hear sexually violent, something tells me that ain't good.
So SVP
ain't good.
is a euphemism for rapist. Is it not?
Or it could be. We don't know. We don't know.
I don't know that you can use that phrase.
Oh no, I'm sure I can't.
No, you can't say.
I'm sure I
call
can't
a spade anymore.
You can't say what it is. Well, hold on a second.
Yeah,
Sexually violent. So hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay.
You're not punching me and then giving me a hug.
This pod is about to get censored.
Let's do it.
When Bob Goff gets a hold of this.
No, he's not. David's got to do it. So good luck, pal.
No, I'm not going to put you through that.
You're going to wish you drank after this.
Because that's too much work. I will say this. If you say sexually violent, if you say somebody who is guilty of sexual assault, you're not taking like a...
Yeah, you're not hugging me too hard. No.
Can you say that?
Sex
you can't
toy?
say this? No.
I don't know. But I'm pretty sure
we've discussed there are no rules.
There's no rules.
If you beat somebody with a sex toy.
Yeah.
If you lovingly, man, I know who's listening to this podcast, and she will not like me saying this. I gotta be very careful. The point is this: sexually violent persons. If the cover story says that serial rapists are being randomly dropped into Quincy on purpose,
Panic mode. Panic. So here's okay.
We gotta be very careful what we say here.
So let me say though, I guess that's one of the problems I had with the press release, because you put something out there for the press, which Muddy River didn't do this, but other news sources did. They just reblasted this. Okay, the press release did not have enough information, meaning it didn't define an SVP. But when you see that, your initial reaction is, "Holy shit!" It does invoke fear. It does tell me, oh my God, why it brings up all these questions. Why are we doing it? Who decided it? Who's benefiting from this? What is our track record for monitoring current SVPs? How many do we currently have?
Are adults who are convicted of sexually molesting children considered violent?
I believe that's where a lot of it comes from.
Okay.
I wish I had.
Okay.
We need a terminology. We're going to have to include that on the thing.
My story that I probably have about 80% of it finished, and I talked to Detective Brown last night and tried to answer some other questions. But do I have a list of, if you committed this felony, you are deemed a sexually violent person? No, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think it's literally on a case by case basis. It's basically something that's done by the state's attorney in this person's their district, to be able to say, oh, by the way, we want to declare him a sexually violent person, and we want this person to be sent to Rushville, where they start to get treatment and help. And
so then, do we get money from the state for this?
No. The only thing that no.
Did the state decide this?
The Department of Human Services again has basically determined
Ashley wants to get paid.
Oh no, I'm saying there's got to be some benefit. It can't just be here you go. You take these people.
I would say that what I've been told, the way I understand it,
but
nobody the only benefit is somebody is going to be renting a place to somebody and making money off their rent.
How? They can't even leave their apartment. How are they going to work?
They're going to get help. They'll get financial help. It's an extremely slow process. Like I said, they're not allowed to go really much of anywhere.
Listen, they're almost in there
because they're on ankle monitors.
You had asked a question earlier.
So they're monitored all over wherever they go.
We do not have enough room in
we have a housing shortage
system. We don't have enough. Listen, we don't have that too. Yeah. We don't have enough room to house anybody, really. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough room in the Illinois Department of Corrections system. Mm-hmm. You got to let go. Listen, Quincy lately has producing like some people that are going to be going into the DOC soon. You got to make room for those people. You got to let the SVPs out.
Not the SVPs.
So like
SVPs aren't in prison though. Remember, that facility in Rushville is not a prison.
Okay.
It's a different facility.
But it's still overcrowded. It's still being paid for by taxpayers. It's still, I mean, it's one and the same when you're looking at, but here, so you asked earlier, do I think that, I'm like, nobody can be rehabilitated. That's not true. I do feel like I always am a second chancer. However, when you are a sexually violent person, and of course we don't know the definition of that, I think that is there's something misfiring. Right? There's
I will tell you that when
there.
I talked to Detective Brown last night, he said, okay, this program has been in place since either 1998 or 1999. Mm-hmm. That to his knowledge, I want to say there have been less than 200 people over the course of its existence who have been released, and many of them failed and were put right back into the facility in Rushville.
Yeah, and see,
I mean, it's literally, you can't. The list of things is so long and so extensive.
Yeah, you can have a list all you want, but who's going to do that?
But he said that's where this Liberty Healthcare is in place to monitor these people. And he said, for example, he gave me the example of, let's say this person has opened the windows to his home and is just staring out into the street watching kids walk by. Liberty Healthcare will say, nope, we're going to cover the windows. because they monitor. They're with again. It's a small.
Yeah, but unless you're
teacher
watching,
to pupil ratio.
if you're
here.
watching these people, unless you're living with this person as a Liberty Healthcare professional, you cannot monitor 24/7 what this person is doing.
You can't. So
And-
okay, so
yeah.
so let me ask you.
okay.
What you've heard me tell you what I know,
Yep.
what I believe I know, what Jim from the police department has told me. I think it's fairly obvious you're
How
not
I feel.
comfortable with them.
Well, I'm not
So what would
comfortable.
you? I guess my question is: so do you just want to leave them in Rushville?
No, I say we build an island for them and we put them all
Escape
there.
from New York. That's exactly my
Yeah,
point.
there you go.
She
Escape
wants
from
Snake,
Alcatraz.
she wants Snake Plissken.
No, I think you should. I think
to
that I think you should segregate them in an area that they cannot recommit any of these sexually
way,
violent
Which is
crimes.
what they've
These-
done in Rushville. But these
Okay.
are people that have been determined by experts.
Yeah, but I don't think you
through
get a
this-
second choice when you harm a child sexually. The second chance. I just don't think
And
you do.
we've come full circle, haven't
here we
we?
are.
And
Yeah.
and this is why sexual deviancy should be avoided when you're
Yeah.
talking about children. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, David. If Bob was here, he'd
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, we're at
No, I
37
think
minutes.
this
Cut it
is a
off."
very
We're probably
this is
good.
a very
But
important
anyway.
topic. And
But no, yeah, and to come full circle, this is I don't think it's a coincidence that we segued SVP. I'm kidding, but
hey, it's all relative. It's
listen, it's all relative, and I hope that all of these SVPs learn. And I'm gonna make a joke here. Find Jesus, and
Yeah.
I mean, hey, actually, you don't have to find Jesus. Like, don't.
I think a lot of
hurt-
people do it in the name of Jesus.
Don't
so.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they do.
Yeah.
They do. Which, by the way, I got a really nasty comment on Facebook. They're like, "Oh yeah, Frank, why don't you concentrate on like all like the Catholic Church and like all the priests who sexually molest kids?" And then
Yeah.
I said,
I did that and got in trouble for it.
no, actually, I think we should protest both of you.
yeah.
Both.
This ain't mutually
Like,
exclusive here.
I mean, I can protest sending
Both.
my kids to your drag show.
Yeah.
And I could also protest, any like priests that are doing terrible things. Which, by the way, I will tell you this, in full disclosure, I have no evidence that a Catholic priest. I've never seen a Catholic priest. I've never heard of one. I'm 46. Been in the Catholic Church, I guess, since I've been baptized. Never heard of it. Never never been in any kind of church where I've seen it, heard of it. I know it happens, but never. And in all fairness to everyone listening and watching, I have never heard of a drag queen molesting a child either.
Right.
I think that's fair for me to say. I haven't
I
either
think so.
one.
Yeah. I don't think you have to necessarily see it. You don't have to experience it firsthand to know that there's something that doesn't sit well with the SVPs. And, if something doesn't sit well with you with a drag show that kids are invited to, we all have our opinions. Of course, I'm not going to be able to stop it. I'm not going to be able to stop these SVPs from coming here. I would say, as my mom always tells me, don't borrow trouble. So I'm going to try not to let this, ruin my sleep or anything. But I would say we probably all need to pay attention to this and ask some pretty deep questions and require some follow-up and require some reporting and transparency when it comes to this program that was just kind of handed to
Pretty
all
much.
of us.
It was,
Yeah, it's
Jim
not
Brown said,
decided on.
The Quincy Police Department did
Yeah.
not reach out and say, "Oh, please send them
Yeah.
to us." It
But-
was more like, "Hey, we're letting you know you're now eligible."
But
for
now they're
this."
going to be, they're in essence going to have more responsibility on
Absolutely,
their plate.
and he's the person who basically
Yeah.
deals with.
And there's already a
sex-
shortage,
yeah,
and it's just,
yeah.
God, what? I don't know what's going to happen next, but I don't know. When I say ship them all to an island, I mean it.
Snake.
Is that my
Listen,
new
hey,
nickname?
listen.
I'll take it.
Snake
Yeah.
Plissken.
Tell you right now.
Yeah.
If I was female, knowing how terrible men are.
Yeah.
Like here's how bad men are. Men are so.
The one time I was accosted was by a female. Let's just throw that out there.
Well, that's kind of hot.
Yeah. And it wasn't a drag show.
But men are like kind of bad in this
Uh-huh.
demographic of like the number of people who rape. Can he say rape? Do you have to edit that out, David?
It's
I'm so
rape.
sorry.
It is a thing. It's
I mean,
in
listen,
the
I was
dictionary.
born in the '70s, so I kind of use that word. I'm Gen X, so I use the word. I use the R word. I'm so sorry. Sexually accosted, sexually assaulted, whatever.
Sexually abused.
That's not necessarily the R word, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Aggravated criminal sexual abuse.
That
Is that rape?
Sounds rapey.
Why don't they just call it rape? In like a newspaper.
You know what? Because everything has to change. Everything has to progress.
Yeah.
You can't be stagnant. You have to always progress. You can't just like accept objective truth. Everything is subjective. And I rest my case.
You can't just say everything that's on your mind. Well, welcome to
Okay.
Ashley.
Who has no problem saying with whatever's on her
I have
mind.
no filter. It's just, I think that's
David,
just what it is.
I
So
think,
I apologize if I make you edit or
No, I don't think anything is that editable. Not necessarily.
Nothing that comes off the top of my head. No.
Well, I
there are
definitely
going to have
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
there are going to be
Yeah.
people who do not want to listen to this, and again, it's a choice, and we definitely respect that. However, there are some truths that are
Well, it's
kind of-
Club Muddy.
Yeah, there's some truths that are spoken here, and if you have a problem with it, maybe like you can contact us and let us know. Maybe we can do some digging into what that is, and maybe we can improve or not. Right?
Digging into it means that I get to dig into it. Right?
Well, when people write in and they
all that
say,
hate mail comes to David Adam.
I got some hate mail back on something, and I was like, I apologize, and I apologized on here, but I said I can't apologize for everything because it is who I am, and I have opinions, and when there are strong topics presented to me, I gotta say what's on my mind.
See, I've got
Yeah.
to get out of here because
Yeah.
my daughter is in town, and
Okay.
she is basically purging my home. I just moved.
Okay. Oh, you did.
Congratulations.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So I met her for about an hour, and within an hour we had collected about 2 bags of trash, 5 or 6 bags of stuff to take to the Humane
your current
Society.
residence?
Yes,
Okay.
that I brought over from my old residence.
Okay,
And she's
okay.
like, okay, Dad, you don't need 40 Sharpies.
Is she
How
over
about
21?
She's like,
Oh, yeah.
does this bring you joy, Dad?
Invite her to the drag show.
She won't be around. But she's just, like I said, she's here to kind of, I think her job is to clean the house so when I come back, I can stand to look at it.
Yeah.
That's, I think, her
God
job.
bless
Okay.
her.
Well, good deal.
That's a
So
good
I
daughter.
better head back to get that
You
taken care
should.
of.
Yeah. Well, thank you
All
for
right.
joining
Thank you,
us.
David.
And I
My
think
pleasure.
Bob will be back next week. And Frankie, it's been a while since you've been here, but
I know.
it has been so awesome to have you back. So
Thank you, you
yeah.
two.
Yeah. It's been great. All right.
right.
I think on that note,
Let's wrap it up.
up.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks,
Peace out.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.